national capital. Moving on, a controversy has erupted over Congress leader Shashi Tharoor's tweet hailing late former Pakistan President Pervez Musharraf post his demise. Tharoor tweeted that Musharraf was a real force of peace between the two nations between 2002 and 2007. BJP leader Ravi Shankar Prasad has hit out at the Congress leader, saying it's unfortunate that Musharraf is being called a Shanti Doot. Ravi Shankar Prasad said peace was completely derailed in Musharraf's reign. Kargil war, the parliament attack, plane hijack all took place when he was at the helm. First up, here is what Tharoor said initially after Musharraf's death. He said, once an implacable foe of India, he became a real force for peace 2002 to 2007. I met him annually in those days at the UN and found him smart, engaging and clear in his strategic thinking, RIP, which is rest in peace. After questions were raised by the BJP, especially on this comment eulogizing Musharraf, he said this. Question to BJP leaders frothing at the mouth. If Musharraf was anathema to all patriotic Indians, why did the BJP government negotiate a ceasefire with him in 2003 and sign the joint Vajpayee-Musharraf statement of 2004? Was he not seen as a credible peace partner then? The question is whether Musharraf really was a peacemaker, because just because he was involved because of his position in Pakistan politics, in ceasefire or other negotiations, does that mean that his intentions were right? Now, this is all that has happened under Musharraf. Kargil, 1999, of course, he betrayed the Lahore Declaration, ordered the infiltration of the Pak forces in Kargil. Vajpayee invited him for the Agra summit, but talks collapsed after his grandstanding in a breakfast with Indian journals. Can't quite say he was really invested in any peace. February 2015, this is what Musharraf said. The ISI cultivated Taliban to counter Indian action against Pakistan. He said this in the context of Afghanistan and India's role there. But remember, in July 2018, he openly said, I am Lashkar's biggest supporter. They like me too. You all know what Lashkar-e-Taiba stands for and what they have done in India. That's not it. Under Musharraf's presidency, we faced multiple attacks in India. The 2002 Jammu Raghunath temple attack, 2002 Mumbai bus bombing, 2002 Gujarat Akshardham temple attack, 2001 Jammu and Kashmir Legislative Assembly car bombing, and of course, the Indian Parliament attack. Kargil or no Kargil, Musharraf was never really India's friend. He was very clear about what he wanted in Kashmir and otherwise. So the big question we asked today, Tharoor's tweet, others eulogizing Musharraf, is this not convenient whitewashing, picking and choosing of what they want to of this anti-India former dictator?
वो हमारे बहुत बड़ा दुश्मन था, बहुत बड़ा शत्रु था, कारगिल में बहुत नुकसान किया, लेकिन उसके बाद करीब 4 साल के लिए वो बहुत कोशिश की हमारे देश के साथ समाधान करने की।
पूर्व विदेश राज्य मंत्री शशि थरूर ने जनरल मुशर्रफ को शांति दूत बताया है। इसका कुछ मतलब वो समझते हैं? जिस राष्ट्रपति और सेना प्रमुख पाकिस्तान की अगुवाई में कारगिल पर हमला होता है, भारत का प्लेन हाईजैक होता है, सब भारतीय संसद के ऊपर हमला होता है, कई निर्दोष लोग मारे जाते हैं और शांति के हर प्रयास को वो डिरेल करने की कोशिश करते हैं।
Guest joining us, Syed Zafar Islam from the BJP, Sumansi Raman is political analyst, Sushant Sareen, senior fellow, ORF, Lieutenant General Shankar Prasad, former DG Infantry, all joining us on the show. I do thank you for your time. We invited the Congress party, they declined the invitation. But let me go across to Sumansi Raman. Suman, it seems a little baffling that a senior, a functionary, someone who understands diplomacy, somebody like Shashi Tharoor is saying what he's saying about Musharraf, that, India negotiated with him. India negotiated with Musharraf because that's how diplomacy works. You negotiate with the head of the state that you're negotiating with. It's not because Musharraf was some peace maker. Do you find his statement odd?
No, Shivani, I don't find that statement odd at all. So if you look at the details of what Shashi Tharoor has said, and he has subsequently clarified with 2 more tweets. I think you have to see the whole thing in its entirety. And he has very clearly said that it was a BJP government that subsequently negotiated a ceasefire with him in 2003, and subsequently there was the Agra Vajpayee Musharraf. There was a Vajpayee Musharraf Accord, which was subsequently signed, I think, in 2004. So I think that Shashi Tharoor has basically, first of all, this is an obituary-related tweet. So generally, you avoid saying negative things. Yes, perhaps he could have remained silent. But I think that the point that he was trying to make was, after what happened at Kargil, for which Musharraf was fully responsible, and clearly there is no forgiving him for what he did. But I think the point he was making was, after that, during the term of his presidency, he did try to attempt to negotiate some kind of peace.
Did he really?
Certainly not out of a love for India, but maybe to strengthen his position internally in Pakistan. But whatever may have been the reason, there was an attempt to negotiate a peace with India subsequently, which is what Shashi Tharoor pointed out. He did not glorify him.
No, it's not. No, he did. He said that post the Kargil war, and I played out that bite, his tweet is a little different than that. He's putting the blame on the Vajpayee government, as if Vajpayee government talking to Pakistan head of state is some sort of a whitewash of what Musharraf did. It's not a personal statement on Musharraf. Musharraf was at the helm of Pakistan affairs. Who else were you going to talk to? But in his bite, he did say that Musharraf tried as much as any good-natured man can to bring peace between India and Pakistan. Did he really? That's what I'm asking. Let Sushant Sareen come in. Sushant Sareen is the expert. No, always in history, any kind of figure, Sumant, will have areas of grey, right? But I'm not sure why a person who waged a war on India, in India, is given shades of grey. I'm not sure. I'll come to that question in just a bit. But Sushant Sareen, did Musharraf really want peace with India? Did he really try?
So, Shivani, a couple of things. If you want peace, then one of the criteria for peace is to not promote terrorism.
Yes.
Now, everybody, including the BJP, including Mr. Tharoor, including you, all the terror incidents which you were recounting, from the hijacking to the parliament attack, we forget what happened when Mr. Raman, for example, is, being waxing eloquent on how good that period between 2004 and 2008 was. Number one, Vajpayee got that the Pakistanis to acknowledge that they will not use their soil for terrorism against India. But within a couple of months of that, Vajpayee was out of office. And after that, it was the Congress government which was negotiating the so-called peace. During that period, Shivani, there were 17 major terror attacks. Now, maybe it does not matter to people like Mr. Tharoor or Mr. Raman or anybody else, but when 200 odd people are killed in train bombings in Mumbai, when people are killed in the German bakery bombing, when people are killed in the Zaveri Bazaar in Mumbai, and I could go on and rattle out another 13, 14 of these terror attacks which these guys carried, that is not what a peacemaker does.
Yeah.
Then Mr. Tharoor, in his subsequent tweets, writes that yes, he accepts that Musharraf was an implacable enemy and he was not a friend. And then he still says, and an implacable enemy, somebody like Mr. Tharoor, who, whose English is legendary, should know what an implacable enemy is.
But he says, Tharoor says he changed suddenly post-Kargil war. Between 2004 and 7, somehow Musharraf worked really hard for peace between India and Pakistan.
Yeah, so then don't call him an implacable enemy, right? Now, the thing is that then he says that wasn't he a credible peace partner? Now, one, I've told you about all the terrorism which was carried out. Number two, and very importantly, if Musharraf was actually invested in a peace process with India, and that was his real swan song, as we seem to believe it was, then would he not have continued to talk about that peace process, that so-called peace formula? And I don't think it was a peace formula. I think it was a trap for India, which we were walking in with our eyes wide open. But assuming he was actually invested in it, then after he had gone out of power and he was in the rubbish bin of history, which is what all generals in Pakistan are once they give up their uniform, would he not have continued to talk about that particular peace process?
Yeah.
Would he not have continued to root for it? Would he not have said that that is the only, using whatever political capital he had, would he not have flogged it? But
No,
what
because
was he
you
doing?
mentioned it.
As
I
you
was going to
yourself
raise
say,
this.
One second, Shivani,
Yeah.
as you yourself
But
say in
can
your
I
report,
counter that?
he was saying that the Lashkar-e-Taiba are great guys.
Yeah, yeah.
He continued to back organizations and swear by the terrorists by saying that these were our people.
Yes.
He never spoke about the peace process once he had gone out of office.
Can I quote him? Can I
So,
quote
and
him
can
more
I-
of what I played out? Can I quote more of what I played out? Two of my guests have not spoken. I mentioned how he said ISI cultivated Taliban and he obviously praised Lashkar. He has said, because I have always been in favor of an action in Kashmir and I have always been favoring for pressuring the Indian army in Kashmir. This LET is the biggest force and they have been declared terrorists by India along with the US. He defended a terror group like Lashkar-e-Taiba. I don't know how this man is some Shanti Doot, as Ravi Shankar
Shivani.
Prasad asked. Suman, just 1 second. Let me bring in my other guests who haven't spoken. I want to go across to the Lieutenant General here. Is it not absolutely tone deaf, Mr. Prasad, of Mr. Tharoor to say what he said, even in hindsight? Because even in hindsight, Musharraf doesn't come out very nice.
What Mr. Tharoor says is his business, and I do not wish to comment on what he says. But the first and the foremost thing is, a man is dead, a very cunning man is dead. May the Lord rest his soul in peace. Secondly, let me give you, all the other political points have been made and they are very relevant. The important thing that I want to dwell upon is 2-3 points. Firstly, what is the character of this man? A very cunning fellow, a very unreliable fellow, a poor military strategist. You will ask me, why is a poor military strategist? He put up a great strategy against India. I'm afraid no. He could not plan the Kargil operation properly. He had no logistic support. He never thought of how the operation is going to be logistically sustained. He never realized as to how the enemy, the India, is going to react to his moves. He did not realize how the world opinion will go against him. He did not realize what the power of the media is in the current day's modern warfare. So as a strategist, I do not rate him very high. And एक हिंदी में कहावत है, मुंह में राम राम बगल में छुरी. This is what exactly he did in absolutely word and letter and word. When the Prime Minister went to Lahore and came back, he stabbed us in our back. And also, when the Prime Minister of a very, very large democracy visits a country, the military chief is expected to say hello to him and salute in military uniform. Musharraf was in military uniform, refused to salute Prime Minister of India, Bajpayee, which is absolutely appalling. All of us have seen that picture. All of us know about it. The central point is this, that having done what he has done to India for so many years, as Shant said, numerous terrorist incidents, does he mean peace? Every time India has said anything about peace, we have said peace can be negotiated provided you stop terrorism in Kashmir.
Absolutely.
He refused to stop Kashmir, any terrorism, not only in Kashmir but elsewhere in India.
Absolutely.
So how is he a peacemaker? I mean, I'm glad to hear this. And one of the panelists said that we avoided getting into his trap. He was laying a trap for it. But must remember one thing. President Musharraf was a commando. He never used to think hard enough from his brain. He used to shoot from his hip. So therefore, when you shoot from your hip, you got no idea as to what this is going to result into.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what he used to do.
Can
so I'm afraid, while as a man, we have got all his qualities which I've just narrated in very brief, what the political statements are is related to political leanings of one person or the other, or one party or the other.
But sir, how can you have a leaning? That's precisely the point I'm coming to. How can you have a leaning as an Indian on who Musharraf is for us?
Yeah. Of course he is. Who in India will say that Musharraf is a great peacemaker? Somebody must be absolutely wanting to say something which is not tenable by any evidence.
And that's why I raised this question. It has not come from some ordinary person. Mr. Tharoor understands diplomacy, he understands international affairs, he understands India-Pakistan relationship.
Well, he has personal relations with somebody.
Precisely. So is his personal relationship with Musharraf
that motivated him
overshadowing his judgment on what Musharraf was to India-Pakistan relationship? Sir, can I also add what else he said, what else Musharraf said post his presidency? And this is all happening, in the past. Mr. Tharoor could have had opportunity to realign his opinion of Mr. Musharraf. And I go across to Zafar Islam. He said, India is the greatest democracy, promoter of human rights and democratic culture. All bullshit. He said that. This man is a peacemaker and a friend of India. Zafar Islam?
No, he was indeed a friend, but not of India, but Congress party. Because Congress can have that kind of stand, but not India or people who really who are concerned about the national security and understand who the enemy is and who are our friend, who are our foes. Mr. Tharoor has made this statement because that's something which they believe, and not only Mr. Tharoor, he understands the diplomacy, he understands the dynamics, he understands the equation between India and Pakistan and what Musharraf was up to when he initiated the Kargil war, as well as many other things he had done against India. So only Congress and leaders from Congress can speak such thing about Pakistan, because they eat biryani when they go there, they have a different kind of equation with them. But not ordinary Indian will ever speak anything
Mr. Tharoor
about
has
Musharraf.
raised an allegation.
Whether he was
Mrs. Islam, Mr. Tharoor has also raised this question that why were you in talks or on the table with Musharraf if he was so bad? By you, I mean the BJP government of the time.
I understand. See, Mr. Bajpayee was honestly an icon of peace. And he had said once, you cannot change your neighbor.
Yes.
They exist there. He was trying to have peace in the region. He took the initiative. And you cannot have dialogue with anybody other than the state, head of the state. So, by virtue of being head of the state, Musharraf had to come. But we also had a very clear understanding that Musharraf is not a friend, but he is somebody who is responsible for Kargil war. He is somebody who has many other things had done against the interests of India. And even though he has failed in every attempt, a bad attempt he has made, but still, his intent was something which was known to India.
Yeah, and his intent is something he's making clear in statement after statement. As Sushant Sareen very rightly said, what did he do or say and backed for post his presidency in exile too? So, Sumant, I want to give you a minute. The larger fundamental question that people are asking is, how can somebody of Mr. Tharoor's intellect say what he has said? One, it is tone deaf. It is also factually, I'm not sure, so accurate to suggest that Musharraf worked as some individual force, as a force of peace between India and Pakistan. I'm not sure that is established. Also, how is it that he's not realizing how this goes down? This is like, hitting your foot on the axe in politics.
Shivani, first of all, Mr. Tharoor has said that he met former President Musharraf annually at the UN. And he has said that he found him clear in his strategic thinking. Now, that is a personal point of view. He's probably met former General Musharraf, perhaps more than a number of other people have.
Okay.
So he is entitled to articulate his view. The second point, very importantly, please, Mr. Sushant Sareen made the point about the support to the terror groups and so on. Name one Pakistani politician who has not expressed similar sentiments and support for terror groups.
But that's not
has
a
it not
defense
been
for
done by
Musharraf.
Imran Khan? No. Has it not been done by Imran Khan? That
But
has
that's
been
not
an
a defense
instrument
for
of state
Musharraf.
policy. That has been their state policy. That
Exactly.
is why you call
So what are you doing? What is your business eulogizing a Pakistani dictator and former
the point
president?
Is not
Why?
that. The point is Mr. Tharoor has personal interactions on an annual
That's
basis
separate.
with this man.
The
and
issue
he is
that people
speaking
have
from his-
is not
from
what he
his-
said about the UN meetings. The issue that people have is Mr. Tharoor declaring that Musharraf was one and implacable
Why would he declare
foe,
that? He's
but
met the
became
man
a
every
real
year.
force of peace. But why is he doing that?
if
Why
he
is he
met the
whitewashing
man-
Musharraf?
Look, I think the logical way of doing this is to get Mr. Tharoor and grill him and ask him what he found in those meetings with President
No,
Musharraf.
I'm not care. I don't care about his meetings. I care about what Musharraf did in full public view. Sushant, I have 30 seconds left. 30 seconds.
Okay, I'll take a little more than maybe a minute. Number one, thank you, Mr. Raman, for proving what I was saying, that there is no Pakistani who's a credible or, as Mr. Tharoor calls, a real force for peace. because their
You
state
didn't-
policy never
you said
changed.
General
The
Musharraf
state policy
supported
was to
terror.
continue.
They
Sir,
all do.
please, I kept quiet when you were talking.
Okay, one by one, please.
Now,
One by one.
you
No, you're
have shot
misquoting
yourself
me.
into-
That's the problem.
Let me
You're
take
misquoting
advantage of
me.
that. I'm not misquoting.
You're misquoting
You
me.
yourself said this right now. That is
No,
their
sir.
state policy. Have
You
there any
said
leader
you
who
said
has gone
General
against terror
Musharraf
groups in
supported
Pakistan
terror
and they don't go
as if
against
he
terror
was
groups
the
because that
only
is their state
Pakistani
policy.
politician
Who said
who
it
supported
yourself?
terror.
No, no,
They
okay,
all
one second,
do.
one second.
Who
Can I
said
come
it
in? Can I
yourself?
come in?
So what
I think
exactly
both of
they
you
all
all made your
do?
point.
They all
Sushant,
do.
30 seconds.
Nawaz
Sushant and
Sharif
me
did.
only. Sushant and
One
me only.
more point.
Yes, I
Shivani,
think
if
the
we keep
point
quiet,
is
I
that
can
nobody in Pakistan can be trusted. Whether post-demise or while somebody is living, I don't understand why somebody of Mr. Tharoor's intellect and experience needs to eulogize and give this epitaph
Shivani, let me make
to
just two
Musharraf.
quick
Why?
points.
Yes.
So, Shivani, two very quick points.
Yes.
Number one, I hate it when, anybody in this country says we can't change our neighbors, whether it was Vajpayee or Nehru or whoever. Neighborly relations is not only on one part. Can Pakistan change their neighbors?
Yeah.
But do they behave like a neighborly country?
Okay.
So why do we keep parroting this thing? Number two, and more importantly, what happened during the Vajpayee years, the 2003 and 2004 period? Look, people are not aware of what happened on the back channel. And out there, we literally pushed the Pakistanis to accept what we were asking them to do. The ceasefire was done, number one, by the Pakistanis, and we let them do it, and we said, okay, fine, we'll reciprocate to it. But on the deal which was struck between Pakistan and India, where Pakistan forswore to never let the use of its territory, that was a win-win for India. Why would India not sign
Absolutely.
it? Because now
Absolutely.
that we did not hold Pakistan's feet to fire on that particular thing on every single occasion was our failure. But I think Mr. Vajpayee did right when he got into that deal and he got that
No,
deal signed.
you can analyze what Vajpayee ji did and whether it was right or wrong, it worked or not. That is a separate issue. I have no problem with
Sign that
it.
deal
My
for
central
Pakistan.
issue is knowing what Musharraf stood for while he was at the head, while he was the head of Pakistan politics, and after that, why would you even bother eulogizing this man and giving him some sort of a favorable epitaph? I leave it at that. I do thank all of our guests for joining us. Completely out of time. I have to slip into a very short break. On the other side, we'll get you the day's biggest story.